Welcome back to Movies on the Brain, where we take on films that push limits, test strength, and ignite the spirit of competition. I'm Jason, and today I'm preparing for the ultimate challenge as I dive into the 1988 classic Bloodsport. Directed by New Arnold, Bloodsport is the story of endurance, discipline, and honor set against the backdrop of the world's most dangerous underground martial arts tournament. Starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bolo Yang, and Donald Gibb, this film delivers brutal combat, high stakes, and the relentless pursuit of glory. In Bloodsport, every move, every strike, every decision could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Let's prepare for the Kumite and explore what makes this adrenaline-fueled masterpiece a martial arts classic. Bloodsport opened in theaters on February 26, 1988, with a budget ranging from $1.5 million to $2.3 million. During its 17-week theatrical run, it earned $11.8 million domestically and $38.2 million internationally, making a worldwide total of $50 million. Its opening weekend saw it earn $515,721, finishing number 12 in the box office, behind the likes of Three Men and a Baby, Moonstruck, Shoot to Kill, Frantic, and Good Morning Vietnam, numbers 5 through 1 respectively, with Frantic also opening the same weekend. Its final week in theaters saw it earn $83,037, finishing its box office run at number 10. U.S. Army Captain Frank Dux has trained in the ways of ninjutsu under his sensei Senzo Tanaka. As a boy, Dux and some of his friends broke into Tanaka's place to steal a katana, but Dux was apprehended while returning the katana to its place. Impressed by Dux' integrity and toughness, Senzo decided to train him alongside his son Shingo. After Shingo's death, Senzo trains Dux as a member of the Tanaka clan. Dux is invited to the Kumite, an illegal martial arts tournament in Hong Kong. After his army superiors refuse to let him go, Dux goes absent without leave, says goodbye to his sensei and leaves for Hong Kong. Two criminal investigation command agents, Helmer and Rollins, are assigned to track down and arrest Dux. After arriving in Hong Kong, Dux befriends American fighter Ray Jackson and their guide Victor Lin. When they arrive at the Kumite arena, the officials are skeptical, but eventually accept him after Dux proves his connection to the Tanaka clan by performing the Dim Mak death touch. On the first day of the tournament, Dux earns the enmity of the ruthless Kumite champion Chong Li after breaking his record for the fastest knockout. Dux becomes involved with American journalist Janice Kent, who's investigating the Kumite. Dux refuses to help her, but she sneaks into the arena by agreeing to a date with a spectator. On the second day, Jackson is matched against Chong Li. Although Jackson comes close to defeating Chong Li, he wastes time showboating for the crowd, allowing Li to recover and brutally beat him. Dux visits Jackson in the hospital and vows to avenge him. After witnessing the brutality of the tournament, Kent argues with Dux and tries to convince him not to return. Dux tells her that he has to win in order to become the best he can. Helmer and Rollins arrive in Hong Kong and contact local police inspector Chin. They begin asking around for Dux and track him down to his hotel. A chase through this downtown ensues, but Dux evades them when they fall into a canal. When Dux arrives at the Kumite, Helmer and Rollins are waiting for him, along with Chin and 4 of his officers. Dux defeats them, but agrees to return with Helmer and Rollins after the tournament. On the final day, Lee kills his semifinal opponent, much to the consternation of the crowd. Fearing defeat in the final against Dux, Lee conceals a salt pill in his waistband before the bout. When Dux gains the upper hand, Lee blinds him by crushing the pill and throwing it in Dux's face. Initially frustrated by his inability to see, Dux clears his mind and recalls his training from Tanaka. who taught him to fight blindfolded, overcoming the handicap and defeating Lee by making him utter the phrase "mate." The next day, he bids farewell to Kent and Jackson before returning to the United States with Helmer and Rollins. Now let's look at the cast and some of their other roles. Jean-Claude Van Damme as Frank Dux. Other roles for Jean-Claude Van Damme include Philip in Kill 'Em All 1 and 2, Master Croc in Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3, and Colonel Guile in Street Fighter. Pierre Raffini as young Frank. This has been Pierre Raffini's only role so far. Donald Gibb as Ray Jackson. Other roles for Donald Gibb include Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds, Mike Conroy in U.S. Marshals, and Jake in Broken Bars. Leah Ayers as Janice Kent. Other roles for Leah Ayers include Tara Flynn in the TV show Walker, Texas Ranger, Jill Schrader in the TV show First and 10, and Mona Polito in the TV show St. Elsewhere. Norman Burton as CID agent Helmer for his passing in November of 2003. Other roles for Norman Burton include General Rudolph in Deep Space, Lieutenant Anderson in Pray for Death, and Giddings in The Towering Inferno. Forrest Whitaker as CID agent Rollins. Other roles for Forrest Whitaker include Kerr in Battlefield Earth, Howard Lambert in Finding Steve McQueen, and Tick Wills in Southpaw. Bolo Yang as Chong Li. Other roles for Bolo Yang include Moon in Double Impact, Bolo in Enter the Dragon, and Ice in Ironheart. Kensui as Victor Lin. The only other American role Kensui had before his passing in November of 2018 was the Plowboy in Off Limits. Roy Chiao as Senzo Tanaka. This was Roy Chiao's only American role before his passing in April of 1999. Philip Chan as Captain Chen. The only other American roles Philip Chan has had are Raymond Zhang in Double Impact and Hotel Manager Chen in Twin Dragons. Bernard Mariano as Hossein. This has been Bernard Mariano's only role so far. Lily Liang as Mrs. Tanaka. This was Lily Liang's only American role before her passing in August of 2019. Sean Ward as Shingo Tanaka. This has been Sean Ward's only role so far. Kimo Lai Kwok Ki as Hero. This has been Kimo Lai Kwok Ki's only role so far. Bill Yen Ping Ken as Oshima. This has been Bill Yen Ping Ken's only role so far. Palo Toka as Paco. Other roles for Palo Toka include Victor in Hell, Apache in Blood In, Blood Out, and Stone in Fist of the North Star. John Foster as Gustafson. Other roles for John Foster include Dick Turpin in Dick Turpin, Lord Justice Jeffries in The Demons, and Tony in The Persuaders. John Chang as Toon. Other roles for John Chang include the Gateman for the Triad in Double Impact, Johnny Sun in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, and Snakehead in The Stop Hit. Dennis Chu as Quan. This has been Dennis Chu's only role so far. Michelle Kissy as Susan Paredes. Other roles for Michelle Kissy include Tong Po in Kickboxer, Wolf in The Last Kumite, and Mustafa in Lionwood. David Ho as Paloma. Other roles for David Ho include Cole's bodyguard in The Protector and the Big Thug outside the lab in Double Impact. Eric Neff as Mora. Other roles for Eric Neff include the White Ninja Thompson in Ninja vs. Ninja, Jack in Clash of the Ninjas, and Fred in Silver Dragon Ninja. Michael Chan as Yasuda. This has been Michael Chan's only role so far. Rick Erison as Cotard. This has been Rick Erickson's only role so far. John Law as Lou. This has been John Law's only role so far. Samson Lee as Prank. This has been Samson Lee's only role so far. Ken Boyle as Colonel Cook. Other roles for Ken Boyle include Superintendent Joe Gillies in The Incorruptible, the insurance boss in Mr. Coconut, and the professor in The Seventh Curse. I'm probably in the minority, but I love the fact that we don't see Jean-Claude Van Damme first. First character of any importance that we see is Bolo Yang's Chong Li. I think it builds up the curiosity, especially getting a montage of other fighters before we see Frank or even Jackson. From the first scene with Jackson, you can tell he's crazy, and Donald Gibb plays him perfectly. I do love the scene where Frank escapes when he said he was going to take a shower. It adds a bit of comedy early on. That first flashback is such a nice way to introduce how kind Frank truly is. That montage of Frank training with Senzo is such a fun montage, especially early on in it when with Frank getting thrown around. The score when Frank gets the katana is so good. It adds so much to that scene. And I really enjoy the scene when Frank first sees Jackson before they even actually met. I think it's perfect. The first interaction with Frank and Jackson is pretty typical for guys meeting while playing a video game and kind of bonding over it while also taking shots at each other. Victor Lin is a fast talker, but I think he means well. As a side note, I knew Donald Gibb was tall after having met him back in June of 2024, but I never noticed how short Jean-Claude Van Damme is until he's behind Donald Gibb during the time when Victor is showing Jackson and Frank the arena for the Kumite. Frank having to prove Senzo trained him and how all the other competitors watching him was such a good scene. Plus, at the end of that, we get to witness the president of Bolo Yang's Chong Li, and we already know that he's going to be a problem. Even though we're really not supposed to like Forrest Whitaker's and Norman Burton's characters in this, they play so well off of each other. And for this being Bernard Mariano's only role, he plays a sleazeball really well as Hossein. Leah Ayres and Van Damme have such good chemistry from that very first scene. In fact, everyone that Van Damme interacts with in this, he has really good chemistry with, I think. A little over half an hour before we actually get into any fighting, plus the name of the movie in what should just be a throwaway line by Jackson. All of these first fights on day one were great, and I love the charisma Bolo Yang has, even without him saying a word, just by his facial expressions. Foot chase through Hong Kong was so well shot and a fun scene. Just like the fights on day one, the fights on day two are so well choreographed, and I feel like the fight between Frank and Paloma is where NetherRealm got their inspiration for Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat. That final fight between Frank and Chong Li was so well choreographed and fun to watch. And the fact that Rollins and Helmer actually watched the final fight after chasing Frank all over Hong Kong was in his touch. All over, it's a fantastic Van Damme film with great chemistry throughout and really well shot and choreographed fight scenes. Now, some fun facts and trivia I found. Jean-Claude Van Damme actually knocked out Bernard Mariano with his elbow. The scene made it into the movie. This is one of the few films where featuring scenes filmed inside Kowloon walled city before its destruction. Frank Dux was a fight coordinator for this film. When Jean-Claude Van Damme was cast, Dux announced Van Damme wasn't nearly in good enough shape and put him through a 3 month training program. Van Damme, a world champion martial artist in his own right, called it the hardest training of his life. The movie was touted as a true story, but over the years, doubts have arisen about its veracity. Most martial arts enthusiasts consider Frank Dux' accounts of competing in secret tournaments a complete fiction, along with his claims that he was an undercover CIA operative. Some have pointed out that nobody else has confirmed his story or told their own version. It is now generally accepted that Dux lied his way into Hollywood and has most likely never competed in a martial arts tournament. According to records obtained through the Freedom of Information Act. Dukes was in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, was never posted overseas. The CIA has no record of him ever working with them. His personal brand of martial arts, Dukes Ryu Ninjutsu, is also a complete fabrication. Ray Jackson does not use any recognized martial art at any point in this film. Jean-Claude Van Damme helped edit the film so it could be released. This is one of Jean-Claude Van Damme's favorite films of his own. Jean-Claude Van Damme does his trademark splits a total of 7 times during the film. This movie is included among the American Film Institute's 2001 list of 400 movies nominated for the top 100 most heart-pounding American movies. In a radio interview with Collider Live, Van Damme said he weighed 85 kilograms or 187 pounds when he made this film. And that's it for my review of Bloodsport. Just like Conquering the Kumite, this movie delivers raw intensity, unforgettable action, and that ultimate sense of victory. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like and subscribe to Movies on the Brain for more deep dives into iconic action films. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite moment from Bloodsport? And would you step into the Kumite yourself? Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, and remember, when you fight with heart, anything is possible.